So my name's James Knight, and I've been in China for 4 or 5 years now, and today I'm in Lohu district, which is probably the most developed district in Shenzhen. It's also one of the oldest too, I think, and it's got lots of interesting architecture and lots of interesting things to see. So I thought you and me could go and have a look around Lohu together. Just behind me here is the KK100 building, and this is one of the biggest buildings here in Shenzhen. It's also kind of interesting because it's green, and if you're kind of right below it, you're looking straight up at it, and it's just a mad looking building. It's quite interesting. The place where I am in Lohu now is by Grand Theatre metro station, and one of the main things that you can do here is visit the MixC Mall. Now the MixC Mall, there's a chain of them in China, and they are like a very reputable mall. Like, they have all the designer shops, and it's quite pricey as well, you know. And also they got lots of nice restaurants in these MixC malls as well, and they'll be in Shanghai and Beijing, maybe Hong Kong, and this is the one in Shenzhen, and it's here at Grand Theatre Station. Now, one thing that I've noticed, which is pretty interesting about Lohu actually, and especially around this bit, I wouldn't say that it's a really huge community, but there definitely is a South Asian community here. So, you know, there is Indian restaurants here, and there are Indian people and Pakistani people that live in this area. I'm not quite sure why it's specifically Lohu where a lot of the South Asians seem to live here in Shenzhen, but you certainly seem to see more of them in this area, which is kind of interesting, especially if you're someone that enjoys, you know, South Asian culture and you like going to an Indian restaurant. Then, you know, you'll have a little bit of a choice of Indian restaurants to go to here. I'm just walking into a place called Laojie Market now, and this is like a huge marketplace basically, and has loads and loads and loads of different shops, and it even has a food street. So we'll go and have a little look around Laojie Market and see what we can find. One thing you have to be very aware of when you're here in Laojie Market is just how busy it is. It can get very, very hectic, especially on a weekend, and it's really loud. And everybody's trying to get you into their shop, so they're making as much noise as they possibly can to make sure you go in their shop. Also, it can be so busy that you really kind of have to watch your pockets quite a bit. Maybe there's pickpockets here, so you need to be very careful. A bit of history happened in Laojie Market actually, and just behind me here is a McDonald's, and actually it's the first McDonald's in China. So the first McDonald's in China was built in Shenzhen, here at Laojie Market in the 1980s. So if you're ever in Laojie Market, then maybe you should go to the first McDonald's in China. Lohu is quite a unique place. I know that Shenzhen is a big city and there's plenty and plenty of really developed urban areas and tall buildings and stuff, but Lohu is just so densely packed that, and there's so many tall buildings that you're just always looking up, you know, and that's something that I think is quite cool about, you know, being here. The fact that there's always something to see, but you've got to look up to see it. One more interesting thing about Lohu is its proximity to Hong Kong. Actually, you can walk down a street, this street here specifically, and by the time you get to the end of it, you are at the border with Hong Kong. Now, I don't want to film the border out of respect for maybe the authorities, you know, they might not want me to film it, but if you live in Lohu and you love Hong Kong, then this is a great spot, because you could just, you know, walk over to the border and get into Hong Kong. And, you know, like, it's a bit difficult that we can't go there at the minute, but I do like sitting there and, you know, having a look at the border, because it's interesting at the minute with the pandemic just to see how quiet it is. So Lohu is a very interesting district, and there's certainly a lot of things to do here. If you're the type of person that likes to live in an area that feels very Chinese, but at the same time you like to have lots of amenities available to you, then Lohu's great. You know, you got Shenzhen, which is like a really expatriate community. You know, there's loads of foreigners there, and, you know, although it's great to go and visit there, I would feel out of place in a place like that. You know, I wouldn't want to be living in a little bubble. Whereas here, you've got the same kind of amenities that SeaWorld has, Shenzhen has, but it feels much more Chinese. And then also, if you love Hong Kong, it's a great place, because Hong Kong's only over the road, you can get there really quick. So I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.